Welcome back to r/LegalAdvice, where people ask questions, get advice, and we get satisfaction. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, "Can you be forced into a HOA and made to follow their rules?" This happened to my brother, but I just want to make sure he's going about this right and help him otherwise. About 15 years ago, my brother bought a farm in Ontario, Canada, near a medium-sized city. In the last 5 years or so, an upper middle class subdivision popped up beside him, which for the most part was not much of a problem. Today, he had the president of the HOA for the subdivision come over to him and tried to issue him demands and fines for violating their rules. His farm was originally established in the late 1800s and the subdivision was built around 2010, so it's not like he was part of them when they were built. The HOA is saying that he is creating a public nuisance by spreading manure on his fields. He rents most of them out to a neighbor since he works in the city for the most part, along with demanding that he stop doing things like using his smoker, using farm equipment near the subdivision, cease commercial enterprises, and stop using his impact gun because the noise/smoke is apparently very disruptive to the community a kilometer or so away. The president of the HOA also demanded a ridiculous amount in past dues along with other fines that he needs to supposedly pay to the president and not the HOA. My brother took the papers and told the guy in no kind words to never come back with papers demanding money unless he was with a lawyer or a cop that will back him up on this. He also has an appointment with a lawyer on Thursday to talk about this, but in the meantime I just wanted to know if there was anything my brother should do to prepare for his meeting with the lawyer. The only issue I think he might have is that he has guard donkeys protecting his wife's sheep. She loves knitting and creating things with the wool, so he has some of the meanest donkeys I've ever seen guarding them from coyotes. Some of the kids from the subdivision come around to look at the sheep, but he has a lot of signs warning about the dangers of the donkeys. Realistically, he cannot secure a kilometer or so of fence fully against children, so should he be worried? He has chicken wire stapled up along the fence so no little kids can easily crawl through, and signs to warn the older ones that the donkeys are not to be trifled with. Is there anything else he should be doing or working on to help himself out? We both think the president of the HOA is talking out of his butt, but I'm slightly worried that if a kid gets bitten or trampled by a donkey, that he will be in trouble and the president of the HOA could use that against him. What should my brother do aside from document to help himself against the HOA president and to make sure that no little kids get hurt by the donkeys? Is he going about this right, or is there something else that he should do to legally help himself? And a user in the comments said, if your brother owns the land and did not incorporate his property into the HOA, then the HOA can do nothing about his farm. He should have his lawyer write a cease and desist letter to stop the harassment about the HOA. He should also talk to the lawyer about the farm animals potentially being an attractive nuisance. I don't imagine on a farm that animals would be though, and what the appropriate signage he would need, such as beware of donkey and no trespassing. The president of the HOA and the parents of the injured child would be two completely separate parties, unless it is the president's child, so the HOA cannot do anything about that. The lawyer is his best bet. Explain the situation clearly, bring the land deed and a survey if he has it, and deliver a timeline of events. Okay guys, so first of all, two things we have learned in this story. Number one, there are HOAs in Canada and I wasn't aware of this. I really feel for you guys, I am very sorry. And by the way, I don't know if we have many Canadian viewers, but if we do, in case you live in a Canadian HOA, how is life treating you? Or rather, how's the HOA treating you? And second, this is the first time I hear about guard donkeys and it is absolutely awesome. Anyway, let's continue to the update. Update to the brother HOA story. Sorry about the delay in posting this, I had a pretty busy weekend. As it turns out, my brother already had his property surveyed when he was working with a neighbor to rent out some of the fields, and from what he says, there is a 0% chance that anyone from the subdivision actually owns any of his land. He debated getting another survey done, but he was pretty sure that the letter from the lawyer would be enough. The lawyer seemed pretty helpful and my brother sounded really happy with how the meeting went. Apparently, it did not look to the lawyer like he was doing anything that could not be seen as normal farm practices, so he shouldn't worry about being sued for spreading manure. The donkeys and sheep were discussed, but they ended up deciding that he would just increase his insurance, add more warning signs and fully wrap the wooden fence with new sheep fence along with replacing the older fencing. He also got a letter that, from what he read to me, seems to cover the fact that he isn't doing anything that could be considered unusual farming practices. It also showed that he actually owns the land and said that unless the HOA has a dissenting survey, they have no claim to his land. It ended saying that the HOA president should contact the lawyer and not my brother if he has any further issues. Interestingly enough, the lawyer could not find any homeowners association under the name the guy had given my brother. He said it is possible they just formed or changed their name, but more than likely it is just some busybody sticking his nose where it doesn't belong. There's a small chance that they unofficially formed an HOA and never actually did anything but give themselves a name and some rules, but the lawyer said that if they did it, it wouldn't change the fact that they cannot force him to join. So my brother and his wife are happy that things seem to have been resolved. He bought a security camera for the front door so he can have a recording if the guy shows up again, but that is hopefully the end of it. And guys, please let me know in the comments if you enjoy the stories about homeowners associations, because for me at least these stories are still very interesting to read. In addition, if you have watched until here, I would be really happy if you could like the video and post some star emojis in the comments to support the channel. Thank you so much in advance, your support is very much appreciated. Let's move on to the next story. Florida accidentally soiled an Uber car and already paid the fee. Now the driver is suing me in small claims even though I own a cleaning service and have offered numerous times to get the car professionally cleaned. I will try to make this as quick as possible. I put my TLDR as the title to this post. We are located in Pensacola, Florida. My car was in the shop, so I had to take an Uber to/from a doctor's appointment. On the way home, I accidentally went to the bathroom on myself. This is part of the medical condition I was seeing the doctor for. It's a bladder problem, and soiled the Uber driver's car. I apologized to him and immediately offered to pay the Uber fee and have the car professionally cleaned by my company. I started the company with my brother in college. We do professional office cleaning. The Uber driver told me not to worry about it as long as I paid the fee, but now he is suing me in small claims for the cost of cleaning the car as well as the cost of new car upholstery. I have received the court papers already. We had corresponded by text messages before he sued me, and he has stated that he has not gotten the car cleaned yet because he could not afford to do so, even though I had repeatedly offered to have my company clean the car or to pay the bill if he got the car cleaned somewhere else. Now he is claiming that the seats are permanently stained and need to be reupholstered, even though there would not have been any damage had he gotten the car cleaned that same week. It's been 7 weeks since my accident and he claims that he still hasn't been able to get the car cleaned. Any advice for this situation is greatly appreciated. And a user in the comments said, "Man, what a bad situation. I'm sorry, that Uber driver would piss me off. If you have paid the fee and you have offered to have it cleaned professionally, then I think you are in a decent place. Plus you said you have a text message. I would reach out to Uber. I believe if you have paid the fee, then that is his first remedy." However, it may be the cleaning itself that won't do it. He may be correct that upholstery needs to be replaced. But he has sat on his laurels for 7 weeks, so that won't look good. Mitigation of damages and whatnot. I would reach out to Uber and see what they say. Be sure to appropriately respond/show up to court. Consider consulting with an attorney. And guys, that makes you really think, why would the Uber driver wait so long if the OP instantly offered to have it professionally cleaned by his own company? That does not really make sense to me, but let's see what the update says. Update to the Uber story. Thanks everyone for the advice you gave me on my first post, it was very helpful. A week or two after I made my first post, I received an email back from Uber saying they were looking into the matter but could not comment further because it was a personal issue. I checked my bank account the next day and saw that Uber had refunded me the $200 cleaning charge, but I did not hear anything else from them. Since the Uber driver and I still had a court date, I put the $200 aside so that I would not accidentally spend it. Yesterday was our court date and the Uber driver attempted to sue me for $1,200 plus the $200 fee refunded to me by Uber because the driver had been fired. I told the judge my side of the story and showed the judge the text messages and the receipts from Uber. The judge would not accept a printout of the text messages, but he allowed me to show the messages directly from my iPhone. The judge ruled in my favor and ordered the driver to pay the court costs. Everything worked out and my surgery is scheduled for next week. Thanks again, everyone. And guys, just a little warning in advance, this story does have an ending, but it is not so satisfying as you might guess. However, this story is titled "Found 2 dogs, rehome 1 after 2 weeks and a half of no response from the owner. Owner contacts me with no proof of ownership. Now the police are involved." Hi everyone, this is my first time posting to Reddit, but I have a situation and I need to know what to do or if I'm in the wrong. I live in Arkansas. On September 9th, I found 2 dogs in the middle of a 700-acre recreation area while doing work for my thesis. There were no homes close to the dogs. The dogs both had collars, but there were no ID tags or tattoos on the dogs. The dogs were covered in ticks and had several cuts on their body and were bleeding. But they seemed a decent weight. I found them at 7 to 8 AM in the morning. The shelters were closed until 10 AM and I had a class to get to at 9. I tried to drop them off with a vet close to where I found them, but the vet said they did not take stray animals. I took them home, went to my class and got them scanned by a vet for microchips. They did not have microchips. I posted them to Craigslist, the State Lost and Found Network and some Lost and Found Facebook groups. 2 days in, after giving them several baths because they were covered in hundreds of thousands of ticks, I bought them each a Serestro collar. 3 days in, I took them to the vet because they were pooping worms and leaving worms all over my house. I got them heartwarming tests, normal worm tested and rabies vaccinated. I paid the vet fee myself. By 2 weeks in, I started looking for new homes because I have heard nothing from the owner. I hear nothing from the owner for 2.5 weeks. On September 26th, I rehome one of the dogs to a close friend. On September 27th in the early morning, she takes the dog to a vet and gets the dog vaccinated and microchipped in her name. On September 27th in the afternoon, I got a notification from Craigslist saying that the dogs were her father's. I message her and tell her to contact me ASAP because I had rehomed one of the dogs already and we need to get this figured out. I chat with her owner, text and ask for proof of ownership in the form of a picture or vet records. She says that she does not think the owner has either. I get a call from the owner saying that they were his dogs. The owner says that everyone knows those are his dogs around where he lives and he did live close to where I found the dogs. He successfully describes the dogs and their collars that they were wearing. He says he has all their siblings and parents. I ask for proof of ownership in the form of pictures. He says that he doesn't know if he has those or not. I ask for proof of ownership in the form of vet records. He says he's never taken them to the vet. Dogs are around a year old according to him. I tell him to look and see if he has pictures of the dogs and send them to me. He sends me pictures of a group of dogs that are the same breed, but none of them are the dogs I currently have. He says they are and that I have stolen his dogs. I tell him I need proof of ownership. I have screenshots of all of these interactions. He tells me that he will get the sheriff involved. I am panicking at this point because I don't know what to do. I call the vet and they say that if they don't have microchips, then there's not much he can do. I call the city north of mine's animal control because mine is closed and they say that they only hold dogs for 5 days and that sounded like a neglectful situation and that I was doing everything right, but call my county's animal control on Monday. At 8 to 9 PM at night, I get a call from the sheriff. He says that the owner had called him and that he needs my side of the story for his records. I tell him everything above. He says that I'm in the right and that I should call my animal control in the morning to confirm. At his request, I sent him an email with all my documentation of the above situation. I call animal control in the morning, they mention it sounds like a neglectful situation and basically say that they would not do anything about it. They tell me not to contact this man again, so I block him from texting and through email. I thought this situation was done and over with, but then I get a call about an hour ago, October 4th, from the sergeant. He gets my side of the story and then says that I need to return the dogs because the dogs are the owner's property. I mentioned that he has not given me any proof of ownership, and the sergeant says that the proof of ownership is that I found them in the area where I found them, close to the owner's home. He mentions that this is a property dispute. I tell him that it is legal in the state of Arkansas for dogs over 4 months to not have a rabies vaccine, which these dogs would not if they have never seen a vet. He does not seem to care about this. I tell him that I'm not in town currently and need to get home before I can deal with this. My question is, what do I do? I'm incredibly confused and frustrated. I picked up 2 dogs and gave them hundreds of dollars in vet care, thinking it was the right thing to do, but now I'm getting the police called on me. I need to know if I am in the wrong, because I don't want to deal with this and will gladly give them up if I am. And what I should do in this situation. Thank you guys for any help. Update: I contacted my city's animal control when they opened up on Monday morning. My city's animal control basically told me that this was well above their pay grade and that I should probably contact a lawyer and also call the county animal control or county animal shelter. I attempted to contact the county animal shelter, but they did not answer. I called the county animal control, which hooks up to the police. I told them the exact same story that I've told everyone else, and they referred me to a deputy sheriff. I told the deputy sheriff my story. She told me that the sergeant should not have contacted me because this is a county matter and not a city matter. She asked me what number he called me from. I gave it to her and she confirmed that it was a police number. I told her everything I knew about the sergeant, which is not much, and she then told me I was absolutely in the right, that I cannot keep the dogs forever, and that she had the file from the previous deputy sheriff that I had talked to. My bad, you guys. I did talk to a deputy sheriff and not a sheriff, as I said in the original post. I asked if I should call the sergeant back and she told me no, to not contact him again. I asked if I should take the dogs to the shelter and she said I could if I wanted to. I have not been contacted by anyone since then, however it took a week for the sergeant to contact me last time. I will update this if anything new happens. Edit/update. We were forced to give up the dogs under the threat of jail time. I got another call this morning from another sergeant, not the same one I talked to on Sunday. He did not even take my side of the story before saying that we needed to give up the dogs. I told him I still had no proof of ownership and he said that because I found them in the area, then that was proof. He told me I found them in the owner's driveway despite telling him that I did not. He ignored and talked over me multiple times and attempted to put words into my mouth. He said I should not have picked up the dogs in the first place because picking up dogs off the side of the road is theft. He said that if I did not hand over both dogs, I would be going to jail for theft. I called the person who owned the other beagle and she came over to my house. I started recording the conversations I had with this officer. We, being myself, my friend who owned the other beagle and our housemate, met outside the sheriff's department in the parking lot. I handed over one dog. My friend asked what grounds the owner had for claiming these dogs. He told her that proof of ownership was because the dogs were within visible distance of the owner's front porch and again talked over me when I said that wasn't true. Did not seem to care about the records I had. My friend mentioned that the road is public and that is when he threatened to arrest all 4 of us a second time. We handed both dogs over and left. Now we don't know what to do other than to leave it, I guess. Thanks for the suggestions, Reddit. Very unhappy it has to end this way. And a user in the comments suggested, I say double check the sergeant that he's actually the sergeant and not the owner pretending. Get his badge number and independently verify with the department. But as I said guys, the ending of this is kind of unsatisfying because in the end the OP had to hand over the dogs to the person that apparently neglected them. But as I mentioned before, that is just sometimes how legal advice is, and I just thought this was still an interesting story to read, even though it is a little bit unsatisfying in the end. And guys, unfortunately, we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you haven't already, please also go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where I upload exclusive Reddit videos starting at just $3 a month. This is a great way to support me in case you are interested, and the chance for me to become independent from YouTube revenue. Thank you so much for watching, please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.